Hey everybody, it's Casey here at Run Fly and Tackle. Today I'm going to show you how to tie one of my favorite mayfly nymphs. This pattern utilizes a goose body biot. Why I like this material is just makes the fly look cool. Gives it a really natural sort of segmented look. Can be a little bit finicky to tie with, a little bit delicate. I'll show you some tips here how to make this thing last through a hatch. Something I think you're going to want to add to your fly box. I personally primarily fish this in rivers and streams, but I also fish a lot more rivers and streams than I do lakes. You can obviously modify it as far as size and color to imitate any mayfly well, I shouldn't say any mayfly, but the majority of mayflies in BC. And yeah, really one that I think that you're really going to like. So yeah, come hang out, give it a try, and don't forget, if you like these videos, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to check us out, www.c-run.com. Hope you enjoy this one. Alright, so to tie this guy, I've got an Thorax FW561. That's a traditional barbless nymph hook. For the purpose of this video, I'm tying it in a size 14. I typically tie this fly size 12 through 16 for the most part. But obviously, you know, if you come across larger mayflies or smaller, by all means tie them to suit the insects that you're trying to match here. So to get a little bit of weight on this hook, we'll use some 0.015 lead wire, and 6 to 8 wraps is plenty for this guy. We'll fasten that in place with some 8/0 uni thread. In this case, I'm using the color camel, and I've got that in my Raid Zap bobbin. So we'll attach our thread to the hook shank, making sure that that's locked into place. I'm going to trim my tag end here, and then I'm going to wrap over the lead to keep that all secure, leaving room for a head on the fly, and also we're going to be bringing a deer hair wing case over towards the end, so enough room to tie all that in without things getting too bulky. So a bunch of wraps back and forth, that'll hold everything tight. And then before I keep going with this fly, I'm going to build a thread transition from the hook shank to the lead so there's not a big bump in the body when we go to tie in the body materials. And this will also provide a bit of taper to the fly as well too, making it look more natural. So I've got some taper in for my body there with my tying thread. And now for the tail on this little mayfly nymph, I'm going to take some Wapsi natural brown deer hair body hair, and I'm just going to use 3 individual hairs for the tail on this guy. So I've lined the tips up so that they're pretty darn close to being even. Actually, one thing I want to do before we tie this in is I'm just going to make a thread loop, just leaving a couple inches to work with. I'm going to tie that so that it's secured, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to cut it so that I've got 2 strands of tying thread. And this is going to be to splay out these deer hair fibers to make it look like a mayfly tail. I'll show you in a second. So I've got my 3 strands of deer hair with the tip lined up. We're probably going to go about 2-ish hook gaps for the length of the tail. And I'm just going to loosely wrap with the thread. I like how that's sitting. So we'll secure that in all the way. And I'll wrap that deer hair all the way up to the lead there, just to keep that transition going. So we've got our 3 individual strands of deer hair. I'm going to take one of my pieces of tying thread. Let's see if I can separate them here. There we go. We're going to take one, and that's going to go in between the middle piece of deer hair and the single strand that's closest to us. And then I'm going to do the same thing between the middle and the furthest. So now what that's done is it's splayed out those 3 individual fibers to replicate the tail on our Mayfly nymph. So for the body on this fly, we'll use some Wapsi turkey biots in Calabatus. Use whatever color you like to match the natural insect that you're trying to imitate. So I've taken one single, I don't know what you call that, a barbule off that stem. I'm going to tie it in by the tip. And then because it's a fairly delicate material, I'm going to use a little dab of Zap-A-Gap super glue on the hook shank here. I'll just spread it with my bodkin just to make sure that there's an even coat over the entire shank. Take a pair of hackle pliers just to grab onto the end of that biot. And while that glue's still wet, we're going to quickly wrap this material forward. So what this glue is going to do is just allow this biot to stick to the hook shank, making it for a more durable fly. I'm going to try and capture the end of that fat end of the biot with my thread. And there we go. We've got our body complete there. So now to create a wing case and some legs, I'm going to go back to what we used for the tail there, our natural brown deer body. I'm going to remove as much of the under fur and short broken bits as I can. And then we're going to line up the tips in a hair stacker. So the tips have been aligned. Take that guy out. A few more hairs in there than I need. All right. So we're going to tie the tips forward over the eye of the hook. And at the end here, these are going to create the legs on our fly. then I'm just going to wrap over this all the way to where the deer hair meets the end of the body. If we go back just a little bit over the body, we're going to make sure that we don't have an open gap of just tying thread or whatever. When that wing case gets pulled forward, the fish care, I really doubt it, but it just looks cleaner. So we've got our deer hair tied in there. For a thorax, I've got some Wapsi sow scud dubbing. In this case, smoky olive. And we'll just twist it a little bit onto our thread to create a thorax on the fly. Alright, now that we've dubbed that in, we'll take that deer hair, pull it over the back, and trying to split those deer hair ends kind of in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'll simultaneously try and pull those ends back with my left hand. I'm going to pinch that all into place. 1, 2, 3 loose wraps. I'm just going to make sure I like the position of everything, and then I'm going to cinch that down tight. A couple of wraps underneath, and we'll tidy that up, doing a little bit of housekeeping in a second here. So I've got that all nice and secure. We're going to trim this flush as we can, keeping that eye clear. Pull those little stray fibers back as best as we can. And now I'm going to take some Raid Zap thin. I'm going to put a coat of that over that wing case that we just created and on the tying thread as well too. Give that a nice coat. Again, spread it out with our bodkin. Make sure everything's nice and even. Quick hit with the Raid Zap UV torch. And that's going to add a little bit of weight to the fly, as well as a lot of durability to that deer hair wing case. And since we've hit it with the Raid Zap, no need to use a whip finish. We can cut that thread flush, and that glue is going to hold it all in place there. Trim off that little stray. One little stray on the top there. There you have a really cool little mayfly nymph. So if you like this video, make sure you give us a like, follow, subscribe. Check us out, www.c-run.com. You can get in touch with us through there. Send us an email, give us a call, check out our online store. If there's anything else that we can help you out with, feel free to get in touch. Thanks for watching.